Nothing makes sense! But you gotta do what you gotta do!
The year 2024 has brought a unique blend of escapism and adventure, making us witness a fresh wave of creativity and storytelling prowess, transporting viewers to lands unexplored and realms undreamed of, to a world where the impossible becomes possible.
What is that thing? Is it another one of the Abyss King's monsters?
That's just a forest beast, like a bear, see? It's fine.
Welcome to Animeology, and today we're going to explore the latest and greatest in the Isekai fantasy genre, where each tale is a doorway to wonder and excitement. Number 10, the wrong way to use healing magic. Sometimes being ordinary isn't so bad, a lesson that the high schooler known as Ken Usato learned later on. It was obvious to our protagonist that he was painfully ordinary in every sense of the word. Furthermore, he had a great dislike for those better than him. On a rainy day, Usato happened to run into two of his fellow students, and that is when the unthinkable happened. A magic circle was formed, summoning the trio to a fantasy world. But of course, Usato was only brought by accident, as the main target of the spell was the other two extraordinaries. However, Usato wasn't as useless as he had previously thought.
Okay, you're up. All good? Yeah.
Because he did have an affinity for healing magic, which happens to be one of the rarest forms of magic there is. This does grant our loser some confidence and attention, something he was deprived of his entire life. How will the newly made extraordinaire handle the bundles of attention that is to come? Number 9, the new gate. Bringing back the long-forgotten life and death game back into the 20s, we have New Gate, an online game that was intentionally transformed into a life and death battle for its players. However, our protagonist, Shin, and his heroic efforts put an end to the tyrannical game, granting each surviving player another chance at life. But right after Shin had dealt with the game's final boss, something was triggered. A massive pool of bright light illuminated the stage, as Shin had now been transported 500 years into the future of the game world.
ゲーム上の死が現実の死に変わる。絶望的なデスゲームを終わらせるために俺は戦い続けた。
Yes, our hero went from a player in a game to wandering the strange new lands where he now finds himself. This had not only marked a new chapter in the life of the unrivaled player, but had also led to the birth of a series of possibilities. Just what is it that awaits Shin at the end of it all? Number 8, chillin' in another world with level 2 super cheat powers. Living in a world where summoning heroes is seen as a yearly tradition, we have Banaza. He's one of the many heroes that the royal capital Paluma had summoned to aid the kingdom. You see, the kingdom is at constant war with the Dark One and his powerful demon army. It will get all the help it can, but our protagonist doesn't really fit the mark. Banaza is an incredibly useless individual with no magic, no fighting ability, and worst of all, he has incredibly low stats. Naturally, he was rejected as a hero and was left to rot in a world that was unfamiliar to him. However, little did the cruel king know that once Banaza hit level 2, that is when his true powers would be revealed. What will await our MC as he continues to explore unknowing of his true potential? Number 7, as a reincarnated aristocrat, I'll use my appraisal skill to rise in the world. After dying as an ordinary salaryman, our MC is reborn as Ars Levent, the son of a noble. Now, here's the thing, our protagonist is by no means an overpowered beast, but he does have something that no one else does. The infamous skill of appraisal. This skill works perfectly well in Ars's favor, as he's able to easily evaluate what a person is all about. He's capable of deciphering their skills, strengths, potential, and whatnot. He's a walking encyclopedia, which works well when you consider the corruption that's there in the new world. Seeing how every noble is always prepared and gathering resources, Ars decides to follow in their footsteps. Making use of his skill, he's likely to face little to no difficulty in the gathering of talented people.
どこに行ってもマルカ人は迫害されてきましたから。
僕にはリーチさんが必要なんです。隣で力を貸してほしいんです。
And in due time, he does get his hands on the ideal team. A foreigner who knows no equal in the arts of the sword, a slave with a very high potential for magic, and a nerd with a never-ending thirst for knowledge. With a packed arsenal, Ars aims to create the most powerful territory the world had ever seen. Number 6, no longer allowed in another world.
冒険者よ、あなたは選ばれ転移したのです。
An ideal isekai would be anyone's dream, but not for our oddly melancholic protagonist, Osamu Dazai. Simply put, this man is as tired as it gets with the everlasting wish to drop dead at any point. However, he just can't seem to achieve his lifelong dream of the sweet relief of death. Whenever he tries to trigger something, it always turns out to be okay, almost as if fate itself is his enemy. Trust us, this man would rather fantasize about being killed than have gone through the hassle of an isekai. Perhaps his being an author contributes to his weird obsession with death. He even goes as far as to attempt a double suicide with his lover, but fate's a B-word, as he ends up being summoned to another world. Even there, this man cannot seem to overcome his boredom and unrelenting will to disappear. Will Dazai ever be able to achieve what he truly wants for himself, or will his perspective change by being introduced to the wonders of isekai? Number 5, I was reincarnated as the 7th prince so I can take my time perfecting my magical ability.
頼むよ、クリボーある。
なんだその魔力量は。
Unlike your average isekai, our protagonist wasn't from the world we're familiar with. In fact, he was always acquainted with the concept of magic, as he only wished to study its mechanics all the time. However, his status is what had done him dirty in his previous life. The nobles had a dreadful encounter with our MC and ended his life with a powerful spell. Before death did him in, his final wish was to be allowed to master and study even more magic. And surprise, surprise, his plea was heard as he was reborn as the 7th Prince Lloyd the Saloon of the Saloon Kingdom. Granted, with immense magical powers at birth, Lloyd was by no means an ordinary child. However, this turn of events had given him ample time to finally fulfill his one and only wish. That is, to study magic. Number 4, Dahlia in Bloom, crafting a fresh start with magical tools.
父さんのような誰かを幸せにする魔導具師になる。
Here we have a heartbreaking story of our character Dahlia, who, after dying of overwork in Japan, is now reborn in a world filled with magic. Raised by a master of magical toolmaking, Dahlia becomes skilled in the craft and is now engaged to her father's apprentice. However, her life takes a bad twist after her father's passing, with her fiancé revealing he loves someone else. Fed up with this, Dahlia decides to live for herself and devotes her being to her craft, facing various challenges along the way. From dealing with the unique demands of her clients to navigating the complexities of rural life, but with her determination and magical prowess, Dahlia rises to every occasion, crafting not only magical tools, but also new relationships and a renewed sense of purpose. Number 3, Tales of Wedding Rings. Our lead, Haruto Sato, is quite the lover boy and would do anything for love. Now, Sato has been in love with his neighbor and childhood friend for as long as he can remember. But confession had become a matter of concern, simply because he lacked the courage to say those words to a girl he's loved his entire life. But he could keep them in forever because his love had only grown as time progressed. However, one day she announces that she's moving away and that they may never be able to see each other ever again. This was more than enough for an encouragement for Sato to finally make his move. But when he gets to her destination, he finds a strange portal. Taking his chance, he goes through the weird-looking gateway only to end up at a wedding destination. There, he finds out about Hime, who's about to get married. What will Sato do now that he has learned of his only love getting married? Will he make his move, or would he leave? Number 2, my instant death ability is so overpowered, no one in this world stands a chance against me.
死ね。
すげえな死ねってなんでござるか。いくらなんでもボキャブラリーがなさすぎで。
There's nothing like waking up only to find that you've been left as bait for a rampaging dragon, a situation Yoigiri Takato is all too familiar with, after he, along with his classmates, had been transported to another world. Takatao and his classmate were ruthlessly abandoned by the people they considered to be their friends, but of course dying was never too much of a problem for him. But the situation was different. He wasn't the only one in danger. He was aware of the responsibility that lay on his shoulders. The fact that he must protect the last survivor who was abandoned with him. That is when a decision was made. A decision so severe that it would change this world's fate forever.
高藤君が何かしたの？
勝手に墜落してそのまま死んだ。
むちゃくちゃ嘘っぽい。
別に信じなくてもいいよ。
Our protagonist decided to invoke the one power he had sworn to never use, an ability that grants death with a single thought, and thus, the dragon was defeated. What does this mean for the world where such a commodity was summoned not so long ago? Number 1, Suicide Squad Isekai.
新しい世界。いいことだ。まさに俺が望んでいるものさ。
In a city where crime is the norm, we have a group of notorious criminals like Harley Quinn, Deadshot, Peacemaker, Clayface, and King Shark. This group was formed by Amanda Waller, the head of Argus, from the city of Gotham. These villains were grouped for a mission, the assignment being to go through a gate that connects our world to an otherworldly realm, a realm where orcs rampage, dragons rule the sky, and magic dominate, a reality very different from our own. But of course, the villains wouldn't just comply without any reason. Keeping this in mind, Amanda had already made sure that they'd have no choice but to comply. Yes, she had planted lethal explosives in their necks as a means to keep them grounded. With added stress to their already strenuous mission, is it possible for a group of supervillains to overtake an entire world?